Well, thank y'all for joining us on another Pondering Pothead segment. Today we have On Point Cannabis Consulting, or is it OP for short? OP for short. And we are just diving into the conversation that I know a lot of people are curious about, like cannabis consulting. It's this mysterious world of like something that after 10 years or so in the industry, some people fall into, some people jump right into, and it's like this it's like cannabis adjacent, if you will, where you don't have as much regulatory oversight, but you should know everything about the regulations related to it. And so I thought, what better way to have this conversation than to speak to someone who's been doing it and doing it well here in Washington. Omar, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Appreciate you having me on board to come and kind of talk a little bit more about consulting. The word obviously is broad, so everybody has a different way of, talking about consulting. And for me, it's more just the consulting part is helping the goal is to help the industry get better as a whole versus competing. So for me, consulting was like, what can I do to help some of these companies be more efficient and help themselves get the product that actually matters and like care about the product they're putting out there. So that's one of the things that really pushed me into getting into consulting. And so been in the industry since 2015, so learning a lot. So that was like from kind of the get-go for the recreational, but had also some experience on the medical side, so that did help a little bit. But working with 502s, learning all the ins and out of the business, knowing what are a good call, what's a smart call, and what is like not making money for the company type of deal. So that kind of got me interested in it. And it was just another revenue stream, and I wanted to build something for my own, like something that I can be like, hey, here, like a portfolio of things that I've helped or given advice or counsel to like help make that brand or that company better with the time I was there, and still keep networking and keeping those connections, because it's such a small industry that you might run into each other again and might need to help each other, or like, hey, I might need products, so let me hit up Joe Schmo over there because he might have what I need. So more of a networking, just being a community type of guy. So that kind of what got me into consult.
All right, that's like a formal way of like documenting your networking efforts and time that you've been here, like and an even better way of saying it, a way of documenting your intellectual property, because that is such a big issue right now in the cannabis industry, where you're helping build someone else's dreams because they have the financial status, but the innovation, the actual growth of this company is based off of my ideas and input and my actual labor. And so how do we get compensated for that in this industry right now, where that area is being highly exploited as a whole? And so I think starting a consultation firm is one of the ways of doing it. I mean, I had that fear and thought when I made the career transition into the industry, but I think you got to thank whoever's looking out timing, where I made that transition into cannabis after I had fully established my brand. So I had an idea and an avenue of what I was building for myself, and it was just another piece in the foundation or the outline of the puzzle, to solidify the story. So I can see wanting something for your own, because this is such a baby industry where you can and should stake out a piece of equity right now. So
Exactly. And honestly, most of the time it's like, really, there's even when before 502 started, a bunch of people wanted to be consultants. but it didn't make sense to be a consultant at that point. Like you had to go in and like get in with their, see what they're doing and how they're doing it, learning it, asking the questions, and be able to listen, and learn how they're doing it, because that's sometimes the way you get into the industry versus like, just being like, hey, I smoke weed, I think I know what I'm talking about, versus like, let me give it a time, see how they're doing it, and then that you can learn like what you really want to do, because again, consulting is so broad. Like there's so many jobs in this industry that you can like be good at one thing and perfect the one thing. Operation is one thing that I like. You probably would like retail, so that would be something that you can probably be like, hey, this is what I know for retail, and network with people, and then those people will be like, hey, let me use you for this, or let me use your services for this to help me get better. So it's a win-win for both sides.
Exactly. Yeah, I totally understand. Sorry, accidentally muted myself. But so then what about cannabis captured your attention? It's like, sure, you find consulting, you find this other thing, but you had to want to jump into cannabis first before you even got to consulting about cannabis.
There was definitely the passion part in it, like just enjoying and like admiring the plant. And then the more you learn, going, talking to growers and like learning about how they're doing it, try to grow your own and seeing how it went and how rushed you were. And then you see now how all these, owners want to rush their product. You're like, oh my God, like I used to do this when I was like starting to grow. So like, it's a lot of learning to me. Like that's like one of the key. I might repeat myself a lot saying learning, but like it's just being able to like be a sponge and like soaking anything that you can, because you can use it anywhere else.
I would say the willingness to learn makes the best consultant or a business a manager, CEO, operations, like, because it's not even just learning what you do, but it's learning the industry and then the people that work for you, learning how they function and what could be done to maximize that. You know what I mean? To get your end goal, which is either more profits or whatever you need to work on. It's like, okay, then what about how we function right now needs to be altered to get there? And I think the best consultants in any industry are like great. They're great at puzzles. They're great at Tetris. They're great at seeing the board and playing chess. Those things. And I would say has an analytical mind even.
Critical, a lot of critical thinking, being able to come up with ideas that will make sense. Those are the things that, as a consultant, you really want to be able to know. It's not something where like you have to have solutions. Like, if you're going to come into a company that has problems, like you got to be the one to be their solution person and not like force it, but like lay it out for them. So then when they see it, they'll be like, all right, like, I get what you're trying to do. Like, not just be like, yo, I'm gonna shove this at you, and this is how you're gonna do it, and you're gonna make millions of dollars. It's not gonna work. It's like, here's the plan, here's how you can do it. Try this out, try it with your team, come back to us, let me know what you think. And then that's kind of how like I like to work things versus like just pushing it on people. That never seems to work. And so, being amicable, being able to be like, to talk to people and be able to be approachable, that helps a lot in, growing and helping with being a consultant. So I think you're muted.
Okay, I said okay, but so you say there are a lot of different facets of cannabis consulting, but if we had to narrow it down, right, to the main categories out there, what would you say they are?
So I think operation is one of them. Um, the other one that really needs help sometimes is the grow side. There was a lot of these people that are growing are not, some of them, they don't pay growers as much as they're supposed to. So they end up getting like someone that really wants to learn and passionate about it versus like, the people that have been doing it forever. So you get to that point where you need to really, get those people to come in and help you. Like, okay, my lights are not doing well, or you're having bugs issues and stuff like that. So that's where you need certain consultant. But I think operation, because again, the way you guys get product is it has to be packaged, it has to be delivered for you guys to be able to sell it. Make it easy as possible when it gets to the store. Because once that transition is made to the retail store, at that point, the retail store just needs to be educated to the product. And so it comes with operation and then sales and then goes into the retail. And then from there, retailers just gotta, find another avenue of being able to be educated, ask what they need to be educated,
Yeah,
what
it's
makes it
marketing.
easier, give and give out feedback. So like as we're doing our jobs, we just gotta make sure we're doing the proper thing and we're making it simple for when it gets into the retail store.
Yeah, you said something,
So
but you said something that I wanted to highlight, which was that they're not willing to pay the growers what they need to pay them. And I think that is the biggest downside to legalized weed I have ever seen, which is how in an industry that weighs so heavily, so dependent on the proper growth of a plant, that anyone trying to get into this industry would think that they would undervalue the grower and the grow operation. And I think that happened because of what the legislations, like how legislations were written across different states. It undermined, and because it was always like if you want to talk pre-legal market, the grower set the price. They told you what their stuff was valued, and then that pushed the market, and then supply and demand from there on out. But it was the quality of the product coming out that set the price. And now we're in a market where the retailer is hustling and dropping and driving down the prices for purchase because there's so much product, and that's just legislation of what happened. And you were here for that, so I would love to hear how you saw it go down. Like give me the game.
So one of the things that I always said is you have about roughly 500 retail stores and you got about 1,000 producer processor. So there's an imbalance where everybody is going to try anything they can to get into the market. There's a market for everyone, right? Like the market is not where there's no place for everyone. It's just that there's too many producer processors versus retail store. And there is the indoor that really doesn't work unless you're selling it at a really, really low price to the retail store. So it's really hard for some of those growers to make money, but they also understand they have pride in what they're growing and respect what they're growing. So it's that's where I feel like that's where all the issues is. And then there's also a lot of just people trying to, it's a shelf race. If you don't have the product this week, maybe next week you might not be on the shelves because someone else have the product that we're looking for. It might be $2 cheaper than we're buying yours. But those are the things that are happening where it's the producer wants to get the product in the store however they can. So even if they third party sell it to someone else to sell it, they don't care. They just want someone to try their weed and know that it was good. That's a good example. I don't know if I'm good at name dropping, but Cookies is a good one. Thunder Chief Farms. Everybody now smokes Thunder Chief. Not that he's my homie and I'm trying to plug him, but everybody smokes it. So it's everybody ends up buying Cookie now based off of that. That's just to show you how hard it is. But he tried to get his brand out there before the Cookie, but it was hard to get because nobody knew him, and they thought that, what he was asking was crazy. So those are things that are happening where if they can have more retail stores, there's a price point for everyone. There's stores that buy different stuff for different people because not everybody wants to smoke a 30% cannabis. They want something in the 14, or they want that or the outdoor at a certain price. And for the retailers, they got to pay high taxes. So it's really, that one person up there that's making it hard for everyone else, unfortunately. It's hard to blame pretty much the retailers. They got to do what they got to do.
Yeah,
So
and so it's just legislation, and it's something that this industry has to own up to and publicly push out there. It's why I try to record the content that I do, because other states keep looking to Washington, to California for their legislation, and I say, why aren't you looking at the areas in which they failed? Don't look to where, like, the amount of money they've been making. Money comes, it's the amount of money they've lost, and lives they've ruined in the process. And lives, I mean small batch growers that get shut out of this market daily, that we that we are fighting to even give an opportunity to get back into. But it's, the reality is it's real shark like out here. And that all came up off of how the legislation was written. And you
people
can
do.
thank a consultant for that. You know, you can thank
Yeah,
an individual.
someone who never smoked weed and never understood the plant, just saw the money involved in it and was like, "This is how we're gonna run it." It's never about like what really made sense. Like, how do you limit someone to an ounce of flour? Or, like, you can only get like 7 grams of oil. Like, do you understand that some of these people don't want to go back and forth? There's just a lot of things that like they didn't really think about when they put it together. They just wanted to find a way to get away from the medical because they weren't really making any money out of that. So,
And
you
it's not
know,
even just about wanting to go back and forth. Some of them cannot. They get rides to the dispensaries. They are
oh
not
yeah,
physically able to make this trip.
no,
And what they use this for mitigates, their symptoms. So it's actually inconveniencing the life of
yeah,
lots of consumers.
yeah. Like baller jars to all of that situation. It's just like every time you hear it, you're like, you're making it hard to like, you're gonna make more money because people are gonna buy in bulk, and you're still gonna make your money. So I just, I think if you don't understand the plan and care about the plan and want to write a law about it, it makes it hard.
Right, right. And this is why I participate in the meetings and advocate the way I do, because it's baffling the amount of people that want to talk about cannabis and know nothing about it, and nothing about it in the state that they govern. Even, you know what I mean? In on the practical level, on the ground level, they know nothing about the operation and what that takes. Yet they are reviewing and writing legislation about it. So people uh, like myself, or like-minded, need to jump in and get into these rooms and speak on behalf of the plant and the real industry. But so when did you know it was time to make a transition to be able to just do your own thing? Like, when did you feel the tides turning? Right?
I think
Because, like, you were working for yourself at one point.
I'm still, I do both. Like I work with 502s and I do my consulting on the side as well. But everybody knows it's pretty transparent. I'm not like doing it behind their back. Like they know when I'm working with other people. So I just keep it pretty transparent. So there's no going around and all that. The time I knew it was ready is when people started to call me and text me asking me questions like, hey, how do I create my own label, or how do I do this, or how do I produce more joints or stuff like that. And then I'm like, okay, because we'll meet these people at like, that's when events were actually like really chill, where you'll go to like, what's the pirate one? Fuck, I can't even remember their name anymore.
Pretty
Anyways,
close.
Freddy Fuegos, go to their like smoke stuff and run into them and like and talk about rolling joints and how the grind needs to be and stuff like that. We're not just there to like smoke, but just kind of like understand how you're doing your product. And met other companies and they needed to figure out how to process things faster. And then you'll get questions here and there on branding or how the market is moving. So you know just that's when I knew, okay, well, I can start talking to these people or go into their warehouses and checking it out and tell them what would work and what would not work. And And some of them are like, yeah, like, send me a bill. I was like, oh, word, okay.
Right away.
I can do
Right
it,
away.
like,
Don't you worry.
it's not
So
the big thing, but yeah.
yeah. Okay. So then, as someone who's done it, I'm interested in to hear your take. Like, how do you create a brand? Like, it's everyone has their own approach, but like you make it something that you do regularly, and so it's like, how do you do that? What are the core elements?
Usually you just, you need to know what their goal is, like what they're trying to accomplish, what's the story behind it, and like what are they like, are they trying to, what do they look out of this brand? Is it like a top shelf brand, like super high, super cool, different like dope logos, or you want something that's just, put it on the shelf and let it go. Like let's try to move some weight, basically. Like, is that the type of things you're looking for? Because then like the pricing of the labels and all of that stuff need to be able to be like put into consideration. So you're not, you're not spending a lot of money on certain things. So knowing that, and then also the product that's going into it, seeing what it looks like, kind of have an idea, because then, it's just, quality, you know, story and goal. One of the like few things that you want to know. And then from there, you just start throwing stuff around. Started with names and starting with, strain names and, what kind of theme you're going for. Are you going for like the hiking brands, or are you going for, you know, animal lovers, whatever you feel like doing at that point, and then just go that route and then start going back and forth. Sometimes you don't have the ideas right away, so you're throwing like stupid ideas on the sheet of paper. Like I have some crazy notes. Like I was like, whoa, what was I smoking that day when I was thinking about like all these things, because I want to smoke it again, like, and just start.
Oh my goodness, I absolutely do know.
Like, if you're not a creator and you don't do that, what else are you doing,
Honestly,
so
and you find the sticky notes like weeks later, like, what, what was I thinking?
mhm.
What was I doing here? Look, actually,
Oh, literally, it's part of, it's the fun part though. Like it's
yes.
like calling, and also when I started having a bunch of people, that's another thing. It's having the network. Like, so like if I do like the graphic designing, I have a guy that does graphic designing that wants to work with me. We've created brands before. So we met at a job, and we were like, oh, like if I started, he actually helped me build my website. And I was like, if I start like building my own portfolio, like, or started a brand, I would want to work with you. So him and I started a shirt company called Waxtronaut. And then we ended up selling it to a 502 that now have a concentrate under Waxtronaut. So we created the whole thing, him and I. And so I have him and I have like someone else that's a grower. So like if you need consulting, like it's not just me. You're like, oh, I'm having grow issue. I can be like, oh yeah, let me hit up my homie. He lives right up the street. He will come and check out your shit, let you know what's going on. You guys can figure out your pay. Like, I don't care about that. Like, I'm not trying to get out of it. I'm just trying to help you, because that makes my job easier. Like, if you got a good product and I'm creating a product for you, let me help me, you know?
Yeah,
So
creating that network, that distribution of resources, that
exactly.
portfolio.
Like if, and so you just work with them and they make their own money, and everybody is happy. I don't even care what their invoices are. I just like working together. Because again, like most of these people that are successful, they didn't do it by themselves. Like they have people that they can work with, they can deal with, know what type of people they are. They can be divas, it's okay, but like just all work together. Like let's just get this product out there. So
Got you. Okay.
yeah.
So any I guess we've talked over, I think, the qualifications. I kind of want to just sum it up for him, like what would you say would be the bare minimum requirements for you to call yourself a cannabis consultant at this day and age, and any advice for those looking to make the transition?
You have to have experience. Like you have to be. I will say experience is one of them. Do you want to like a top three? Experience, patience, and like be professional. I think those are like three things. Like I'll say the fourth one will be consistent. um, but definitely like be able to have the experience, like know what you're talking about, like be confident when you're talking about certain things. You know exactly why you're saying it. It's not that's not just coming like you're spitting facts at that point. Like the one thing that I've like read some books about consulting too was that always like find a way where if you present somebody with a project, like they're excited enough to like pay you for it right away, like like even before it's ready. But don't take the money, just make them that excited that they know that at the end they're gonna pay so
Exactly. That's the key right there. That's what I look for when I'm working on a project, when I'm ready to present it. Like if I can present it to my friend and like get this idea from my head to my friend and they be excited as I am on the inside, um and then repeat that process to then whoever I'm pitching it to, then I'm likely going to have a successful project. You know what I mean? Like a successful idea, because the translation was made there. Like I don't know how to
yeah.
explain that, but I know you get it because you've done it.
Yeah, no, it's really what it's all about, like being able to like, because again, like you said, the 502, they don't really do recognition or like value some of the stuff people do out there. So you kind of have to, when you get that win, it feels good. You're like, oh, yep, okay, well now I proved myself again that I can do it. So now give me another challenge. Let's do something else.
Yeah, for sure. Well, where can they find you? Because it's getting dark on your end.
It is,
um,
yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
So
OP Consulting, opcannabisconsulting.com.
okay, that's it. That's all.
That's all, and dabmar05, but that's just Instagram. I just don't post really anything about my work there, but if you want to see my work, really it's on point, and I'm always looking for that. See who needs help. You can always hit me up with questions too. It doesn't have to be about, needing, if you need any questions about the 502 or anything that you need. It's not always about the money, so it's always
Right.
good to figure out how to work with people. So
I love the conversation. Money comes along with it, but I love good conversation, and hence why we're here on, Pondering Potheads. So
yeah.
thank you for joining us, and thank y'all for tuning in. Please, if you like what we're talking about, like, share, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, and we'll see you on the next episode. Stay baked.